We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Closing your eyes, you can create a sound. Closing your ears, you can create a sound. When you close your ears with fingers or something else, then a certain sound is heard. What is that sound? And why do you hear it when the ears are closed? When the ears are plugged? I'll explain in a few as we continue. All the mantras, zikrs, whatever we say are meaningless sounds. And if someone says, this is the meaning of this mantra, then or zikr or anything, then it is not the mantra at all. A mantra, a zikr or something need to be necessarily without any meaning. When you assign the meaning, its purpose is lost. It has some work but no meaning. Certainly the mantra does some meaning, some work within you, but it is meaningless. It has to be something within you, but it has no meaning because it has to be a pure sound within you. That is why we evolved, Hindus evolved the mantra Om. It is meaningless. It is just pure existential sound. It is, if this pure sound is created within you, if you can create it within, then too the same technique can be used. The sutra says, bathe in the center of the sound as you are hearing the continuous sound of a waterfall, or by putting fingers in the ears, hear the sound of sounds. You can certainly create the sound just by closing your ears, using your fingers, or anything else that can force the ears, that can close the ears forcefully. Then a certain sound is heard. What is that sound? Why do we hear this sound when the ears are closed, when the ears are plugged? Let me explain. It happened in America. A train used to pass through a certain neighborhood in the middle of the night, somewhere around 2 a.m. The new line was inaugurated and the train stopped running on the old track. But a very strange phenomenon happened. People who were living in that neighborhood where the train had stopped moving complained to the police that around 2 a.m. something mysterious was heard. There were so many reports that it became necessary to investigate what is the matter. Strange sounds were heard around 2 a.m. These sounds, mysterious sounds, were never heard when the train was passing. The people had become accustomed to the sound of the train and train passing. Now suddenly the train had stopped passing on that route. They were waiting to hear this sound in their sleep as they were accustomed to. They have been accustomed to it. It was conditioned. They were waiting and the sound was not heard. Instead, the absence of that sound was heard. And this absence of the sound was something new. They felt uneasy about it and they could not sleep. So for the first time it was understood that if you are continuously hearing something and suddenly you stop it, you will hear the absence of it. So do not think that you will simply not hear it. You will hear the absence of that sound. You are accustomed to hearing a particular sound. When that sound is stopped, you will hear its absence. The negative part of it is now being heard, the absence. If I look at you and I close my eyes, I see your negative. If I look at the window and then close the eyes, when the eyes are open, you see the window, you can see through the window, but when you close your eyes, you will see the opposite of the window, the negative. And the negative can be so forceful that if you suddenly look at the wall, the negative will be projected on the wall. You will be seeing the negative, the window. Just as there are negatives of photographs, there are negatives of the sound as well. Not only can the eyes see the negative, the ears can even hear the negative, the absence of it. The sound of the train was heard when it was passing. People had become accustomed to, and the sound has stopped. Suddenly a new sound is heard. Sometimes it happens, people complain, and that is part of the psychological psychiatrist treatment. Patients complain that they hear that somebody is calling them by name. And who is calling? It may be a male sound or it may be a female sound. So this is the absence of that sound that you accustomed hearing, and you have not heard it for a long time, and now it is being heard. This sound is the absence of sound. A gap has come in. You are missing something, and then you are missing the sound of that person. You are hearing its absence. This is quite natural. Or, as the sutra says, by putting the fingers in the ears means you close. The train, in case of the train in America, had stopped passing on that route where it used to pass around 2 a.m. and it has changed its route and is not passing there. So you are accustomed to the sound. Now the train is not passing, its absence is heard. So when you are hearing a sound and now you put your fingers in the ears or something else, forcefully close your ears, you will hear the sound of sound, which is the absence. That negative sound is known as the sound of sounds, because it is not really a sound, instead it is absence, or it is the natural sound because it is not created by anything. This is what the Hindu syllable, not word. The sound is Om. It is not really a sound, but it is absence, or it is the natural sound which is not created by anything. It is said about Om that it is a sound which has not been created by any means. Nobody is saying, even the NASA scientists have said, when the sun is moving or the planets are moving, there is a sound which resonates with the sound of the 3-syllable word or the sound Om. All sounds are created. You clap your fingers, clap your hands, a sound is created. This sound is created by friction. Sound you hear when you close your ears is not the created sound. It is the uncreated sound. That is what Nanak says, Ek Onkar Satnam. That Satnam, the Omkar, is the uncreated sound, not created by any friction. You flick your finger, your sound is created. Water falls on the rock, a sound is created. All these sounds are created by friction. But the sound that is not created by friction is the sound of sounds. If the whole world becomes absolutely silent, you will hear the silence as well. Pascal is reported to have said, the moment I think about the infinite cosmos, the silence of the infinite cosmos makes me very much afraid. And this is why when you are sleeping and you hear there is no one in the room, suddenly you hear a sound, you become afraid of it. This is the uncreated sound, or the sound that you were accustomed to hearing and now you have stopped hearing. So that sound is uncreated sound, and that is the negative sound, or this negative sound is really the sound of sounds. If the whole world becomes absolutely silent, this was reported by Pascal, the moment I think of the infinite cosmos, the silence of the cosmos makes me very much afraid. The silence makes him afraid because sounds are only on earth. Sounds need atmosphere. The moment you go beyond the earth's atmosphere, there is no sound. Sound travels in an atmosphere, not in emptiness. Only absolute silence. The silence you can create even on earth. If you close your ears completely, then you are on earth, but you have moved. You have dropped below the sounds. Astronauts are being trained for many things, and one of the things is to be in silence. This is what actually happens in meditation. They have to be trained in silent chambers so that they become accustomed to soundlessness, otherwise they will go mad. Many problems face them, and this is one of the deepest problems, how to be away from the human world of sounds. Then you become isolated. If you are lost in the forest and you hear a certain word, you may not know the source of the sound, the source of it, but you are less afraid. Someone is there, you are not alone, In soundlessness, you are always alone. In a crowd, if you close your both ears and totally move in, you become alone. So this technique is taking you to the state of aloneness when there is no one, only you. You close your ears, you are cut off to the outside sound, and you hear the absence of it, and the absence of the sound, the created sound, is the soundless sound. The crowd has disappeared when you close your ears, because it was through the sound that you could know the presence of the others. Now it is not there. Putting the fingers in the ears, the sutra says, hear the sound of sounds, the uncreated. The absence of sound is really a very subtle experience. What will it give it to you? The moment there are no sounds, you will fall back upon yourself. With sounds, you move away from you, from your center. With sounds, you move to the other, because you are hearing my sound, my voice, so you are moving. Try to understand this. With sounds, you are related to the others, you communicate with others. So even a blind man is not in so much difficulty as a man who cannot speak. The blind man can hear, but he cannot see. But a man who is dumb, he has more problem. So even a blind man is not in so much difficulty as a man who is dumb. Observe a person who is dumb. He looks inhuman. A blind man never looks inhuman. There are stories of the blind poets. Surdas, the Indian poet, was blind, and he gave the description of Krishna's childhood so vivid and alive that a man with his eyes cannot give that description. And his compositions form the important part of the literature. A blind man never looks inhuman, while a dumb man looks inhuman. The face gives a feeling which is not human. And a dumb person is in more difficulty than a blind man. With blind man, the problem is that he cannot see, but he can communicate. He can hear the sounds. He can become a part of the greater humanity. He can become a part of the society, of the family. He can love. He can speak. A dumb man is suddenly out of the society. He cannot speak. He cannot communicate. He cannot express. So he has to use the symbols to express. Try to imagine yourself in an air-conditioned glass room, a soundproof room. No sound can enter the space, and for that matter, no sound can enter you. You cannot scream, and you cannot scream. You cannot do anything to express yourself, because the sound will not go out. In a glass room, you can see the whole world moving around you from the glass doors, glass windows. You can see the whole world moving around you, but neither you can speak to them, nor they can speak to you. You will feel hopelessly frustrated, and the whole thing will become a nightmare. A dumb man this is the situation of a dumb man. He sees everything, but he cannot communicate. He is in a nightmare continuously. If you go in a sound-proof room with glass windows all around, it is like a nightmare. You do not stay in that place for more than what it is necessary. If you have a soundproof room as a studio for recording, you go there only for a certain period of time. You cannot live, and during that time when you are there, you are creating your own sounds. You are creating your own sounds, and you are recording a sound, you are recording a song. So that is why there is no problem. But you cannot stay in the soundproof room silent. It will become like a nightmare. This is the situation of a dumb man. He lives in a continuous nightmare without communicating. He is not part of the humanity. If you are not allowed to communicate with family members, or you are not capable of communicating with family members or society or the friends outside, you are not part of humanity. You are part of humanity because you can communicate, you can speak, and you can hear the sounds of the others. Without expression, you cannot flower, you cannot blossom. He cannot reach anyone, and no one can reach him. He is dumb. He cannot speak. And when he cannot speak, no one can reach him, because even if somebody says something to him, he cannot hear, he cannot respond. He is with you, still far away, and the gap is unbridgeable. If the sound is the vehicle, indeed sound is the vehicle to reach to the other, then soundlessness becomes the vehicle to move to oneself. That is what the meditation is all about. You enter into a state of soundlessness, or the sound which is uncreated, not the sound that you are creating by chanting your zikr or your mantra. It is pure sound. Nanak very clearly says, Ek Onkar Satnam. The sound which is not created, but it is the very source of the existence. This is soundless sound. And through that soundless sound, you enter into communion with yourself. With the sound you communicate with others. With soundlessness you move into yourself. And that is why so many techniques use soundlessness to move within. And this particular sutra of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra emphasizes closing your ears through the finger or something else, forcefully closing your ears. You can hear the soundless sound. Become absolutely dumb and deaf, even if only for a few moments, and you cannot go anywhere else than to yourself. Suddenly you will find that you are standing within. No movement will be possible, the outward movement. That is why silence was practiced so much. All the bridges for moving to the other do not exist anymore. Meditation is to enter, to communicate with your being, your soundless sound. That is what was happening in United States of America, where a train was passing at a particular time early in the morning at 2 a.m. and suddenly its route was changed. The sound was nowhere, but people were hearing the absence of the sound. The absence of the sound is the uncreated sound, a soundless sound. Gurdjieff used to give long silent periods, the periods of silence to the disciples. Then he would insist that not only was the language not to be used, there was no communication as well, no gesture, neither with the eyes nor with the hands. So when you are in meditation, you close your eyes, there is no hand movement of the hand gesture or the eyes movement, no communication. Way of communication was possible either through the eyes. You can look at someone, stare at someone. You can use fingers for as gestures. All silence means really no communication, no silence, no way of communication. We will continue this part in tomorrow's session, taking the example of Gurdjieff. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day. Take care.